Hello and welcome to this video where we use xlwings Lite as Python in Excel, that you will have a Python editor in Excel, and using this xlwings Lite we will create a chatbot. So we'll create a way for us to chat with our own data in Excel. So we'll connect with Gemini API to do that. So this will be super fun. So we'll put in Pokemon data. So you can see in the file here, you can see in the image here that what we will be creating. So it will be really fun, and I hope that you will learn a lot in the way. So let's get started and move into the browser. So start with going into Kaggle.com, and then you search for Pokemon with stats. And I will leave this link in the description. Then you download this dataset, click on download, and you download dataset as zip. And in order to do this, you need to be logged in, and you can log in with your Google account into this Kaggle. And then you download this dataset. And once we have this dataset, we will put it into our Excel sheet. It will be downloaded as CSV. However, it's possible to import it into Excel. I'll show you how. But before we exit the browser, let me show you another thing that we need. Since I will use Google Generative AI, Google Gemini actually, I will search for that, Gemini. And then let's see, Gemini API. Google Gemini Developer API. Go in there. And here you should log in to your Google account, and then you go into exploring models in Google AI Studio. And then you click on here, get API key. And then you have your API key down here, that you should create an API key if you set up a project if you don't already have it. I will be using Gemini, the API, in order for us to work with the LLM. But you could use OpenAI if you would want it, or you could use whatever other LLM API you want. And also it's possible to use local models, but then you need to serve them yourself using Fast API. But I won't show you that. We'll keep it simple and just use this one. Okay, and then now we'll move back to xlwings Lite or Excel. Here I am in Excel. Let me increase this a little bit. Okay, let's create another sheet here. And here I will put in my data. And here you click, I'm afraid mine is in Swedish, but it should be similar. Archive and import. Import. It says CSV file, and you click on import. And then you go into the downloads where you downloaded your Pokemon.csv, or you download an archive, and then you need to unzip it. Then you get this Pokemon.csv. Click this one and fetch data. Click this one. And first it says it needs the limiter you choose, semicolon, tabs, etc. Let's continue here. Next. And then you choose here what you have, and CSV, comma separated values, and if you look into the file, it's actually commas. You click on commas, and then it will separate. Then you click on next, and done. And import. Yes, and this is called data. Here you have a lot of Pokemons, and it's time for us to create our interface. Now we have the data. Let's build our graphical user interface. Here we have, I'll go to the left here. First of all, I want to have a headline, chat with your data. And this one, I will make it a little bit bigger. And I will make it bold. I want it to be Avenue. Much better. I actually want all of them to be Avenue. I want to change the font, Avenue. Okay, perfect. And here I want to have ask a question about your data. I want this to be somewhat bigger as well. I want this one to be even bigger. wanted to make some spacing here. And then I want to answer on this cell here. B5 I've chosen. B5, I will make it into thick lines here. So you can see this is the prompt cell that we want to put the prompt. I'll make this one a little bit bigger. For example, like this. And I'll make this one bigger. So we have a prompt here, prompt cell. And we want to make some space in between, like this. And let me see. Make this one, and then you can make it into middle. No, not this one. This one. Yeah, this could work, but then we need to make it a little bit. Let me see, like this maybe. Oh yeah, but this one doesn't look nice. Okay, yes, it's fine. And also I don't like the grid lines because my user interface, I want it to be clean. Go into data. Or show, actually, this means supporting lines or grid lines. Remove that one. Ah, nice. Looks much better. But maybe a little bit harder to develop, but it's fine. Here I will have question. And then I will have an empty space here, and here I will have the bot answer. This one, I want to make it into bold. I also want to make these somewhat bigger, something like this, some spacing in between, and then I want here to be my prompt. When I type something, I want it to jump down to here. I can see my question here. And then if I type another prompt, I want it to replace this question. Yeah, I could design it to make all the history keep going, but I will leave that for you, so that you have something fun to do as well. The bot answer, let us also make it into thick lines here, and we can make it somewhat bigger because the answer could be long. I want to make this in the middle. Yeah, something like this. Now we have an interface that we can work with. Can make it a little bit bigger. Something like this. Okay, and we can, let's see, can we? Yeah, that is fine. And what we need is a button here. I will move back to my browser and I will go into this page here, free icons download, or it's called xlwing. I want to have a chat. Okay, chat here. Let me choose one. Yeah, this one will work. Download the SVG. Chat button. Or chat icon. I will go back here and find chat icon. Let's see, chat icon. I'll drag it in here. Okay, now we have our chat icon. Make it a little bit smaller. I want to make this a little bit bigger here. That we have C5, which is the cell that will represent this chat button. What I want is that I don't want to go into xlwings lite to click the button over there. That is not good user interface. I want to have a button here. I want to click this button. And when I click this button, I want my script to run. And the script to run, I want it to send in my question from here, from my prompt window. First, I want to send it into Gemini, that it can give me an answer. And then I will put the question here, that we can see what question was asked. And then the bot answer should be here, just by clicking this button and typing something here. And it should answer questions based on what we have in the data. This is the raw data, and I want to answer based on that one. Let us change this sheet to chat. And now let's open up xlwings lite. It's time for us to code this out. Starting with xlwings lite, let us clean away this part. Let us clean away all these. We don't need that. This one we will need. Let's see, xlwings lite we will need, seaborn we don't need, pandas we will need, numpy don't need, datetime don't need. And then we will need something else. We'll need import OS. Maybe I deleted that. Import JSON. We'll need that as well in order to process the data that comes from the API. And then we need to have requests. Okay. No module named requests. Fine. We go into requirements, type in requests here. Okay. And then I will change this one. This is a decorator, and the decorator I will put in an argument called button equals to, and then I will place in here chat underscore button, chat, and then let's exclamation mark C5. Okay, I'll explain what this means, but this is basically the syntax. I will just remove this part as well. We don't need that one. We don't need this. Okay, yeah, this is all we need for now. First, in order for this, I want to change this to something else. I will call it chat. Okay, it's a chatting function now. First, this one, we need to change its name, and to the left here, you can see it's a name. And we should give it the name of chat underscore button. And then if I take, okay, chat underscore button, enter. Okay. If I click something else, I click back here. It says chat underscore button. Okay. What it does is that, okay, button equals to this chat button. It will connect to this one. The chat button will connect to this one, and the chat here means this sheet that is called chat, the sheet name. And then we have exclamation mark, and C5 means this cell should be marked. In order to mark this cell C5 and refer to this C5, what happens? It needs to connect to this C5. We right click this one and we do hyperlink. And when we do hyperlink, we choose this document here, and this is the chat, and you choose the cell reference. I'll choose C5. Okay. If I click OK here, let's just try. If I click this one, you can see that C5 is marked. If I move this, let me see. If I move this here and I click this one, you can see C5 is connected. Let me move back and let me just do a test here. Print test. Or I can say button clicked to see that it works. I click this button. You can see, oh, button clicked. Oh, cool. This is a first cool thing. What we should do here is that we have, I will clean this up actually as well. I don't need this one. Sheets.active. I will call this chat sheet. And then I will have copy this one. Shift Alt down button to copy. I will call this data sheet. Book.sheets. Let's say sheets of data. Now I have two sheets. And then I will have prompt cell. Is this cell here is B5. Prompt cell is chat sheet of B5. I will copy this one and I will have a question cell is, let's see, B8. B8. And I will copy this again. I will have bot cell. Bot cell is B10. Okay. Let's try this. We can have question cell dot value equals to prompt cell dot value. I want to move the question down here, right? Tell me how many Pokemons are in the dataset, for example. If I click this one, you can see it jumps down here. But then afterwards, when I do that, I want to clear out my question. To clear out the question, we can just do prompt cell dot value equals to nothing. If I type this here, you can see it's cleared and the question goes down here. If I say hello here, I run this one and you can see it jumps down here and it clears the cell. Okay, this is just some basic logic. And then what is left is that we need to put in the question into the LLM together with the data into the LLM, right? And we haven't even started coding the LLM out yet. That will be fun, but let's start with reading in the data. That is a good thing to do. Def read data, and we'll put in the data sheet here. df equals to data sheet. The data sheet is an argument that you send in. The data sheet dot range. I will start with A1. A1 here is this one. And then I will do dot expand. It will expand to, I will show you how, dot options, pd dot data frame. Okay, I have pandas, okay. And then dot value. This is a way to make this into pandas data frame. Then we return df. Let's just try it out. Not only I will clear the cell, but I will also read the data to see that it works. Read data. I'll call this df equals to, let's see, df equals to read data of, let's see, chat data sheet. I will say I need to send in. And then I will just print df and see that it works. I can do, print df. And then I will click this button here. Yes, you can see the data here. 721, 800 rows. Okay, good. We have read the data by just sending in the datasheet. Now what's left is our LLM. Def ask LLM. And this should take in a prompt. And it should take in the datasheet. Because we need to take the data, basically this one here, we move it down here. We need to, then I cannot print df because it doesn't exist. Basically is that we want to get the prompt inside here, we want to get in the datasheet, and then we get the df. Okay. What we do is that we need to construct our prompt. Prompt equals to an f string, multi-line f string. There's an issue with coloring here, but it's okay. I'll show you what the issue is soon. You are an expert in Pokemons. And you can see here, there's an issue here with coloring, but it's no problems. It's a multi-line string. Answer based on this data set, and we provide it with df. This is an f string, right? We can put in the df variable here without problems. Make the answer short. This is the question. And you send in the prompt. The prompt is what you get from here. You send it in here, and then you send in the df, which you get here. It can answer based on this one. Okay, and then the idea is that we need to, for generative AI, for Google Generative AI, there's actually a library called Google-Gen AI, and which you can use in Python. However, it doesn't work in Pyodide and xlwings Lite because there is no something called WebAssembly. There isn't this package available. It's not possible to use that interface. I usually use Pydantic AI. I like that one a lot, but even that is not possible either. What we need to do is to work with the pure API, and do an API request. And in order to do that, let's move on to our browser. I'll show you in Google AI Studio. You have this code here, right? This is a curl code, and curl is basically, you can do this in your terminal if you're in Linux-based systems or Unix-based systems such as Mac. What you can do is that you copy this one, you go into, for example, ChatGPT or Gemini, should also work. I'll take Gemini. Translate this into Python code instead of curl. Okay, and you should get some code that you should be able to work with. And maybe there's something that needs to be cleaned up. But I have already done this in my preparations. I will copy from my preparation, but basically this is the procedure that I did. I copied the curl code into Gemini or ChatGPT, I forgot. And then I needed to change it a little bit, I think, in order to make it work. We go back to Excel here. And I will copy that code in, and you will get that code as well. This code means like this. We have, after these 3 quotes here, this is a string, but you can see the color coding is wrong, but it's not that the code is wrong. This is not strings down here, it's just the color coding. Here we start with API key is equal to os.getEnv Gemini API key. What you do is that you go into here and you click environment variables. And in environment variables, you should add Gemini _API _key, and then you should paste in your values. When you have pasted in, I just type in whatever, and then I will click save, and you can see then you have your Gemini API key and you have the value here. And afterwards, let's go back here, and what you can do is to, when you do os.getEnv, you type in Gemini API key and you will get the API key. And then you have this URL. This is to send the request. And then, or the post request, you're sending in what you want to say, the prompt, etc. And then what you will get back is you will get the response. This is the URL, and then you have headers. You send in your API key. Here, this API key variable is sent in here, and what you want to send in as content is JSON. And then the payload, it looks like this. You have contents, you have role user, you have parts, and then you have text, and then you have the prompt. It's kind of nested. What you get back of data, it is nested data. What you need to do is that you need to get it back in a strategic way. Here, the response is the request.post, the URL, the headers, and then the payload, which contains your prompt, and you leave it for 60 seconds before timing out. And then this response.raise for status is to check if there's any errors. And then you have data equals response.json, but then you need to, this is the custom code that I've added. You need to extract the text from the top candidate. What you do is that you have here data.get candidates, and then you take out the 0 of it, and then .get content, and then .get parts, and then 0 of it, and .get text. You need to go into, what I've done is that I have printed this JSON out, and then I have gone into trying to unnest it to get the actual text that I want. Then I return the text, and basically like this. If I type in something, hello, and then I'll run this one, and then this one should run. Actually, we haven't asked the LLM yet. Let's do that. We have prompt cell value. Before that one, we go into bot. So let's see, bot response equals to ask LLM, and we put in prompt cell dot value. We send in the prompt cell dot value, and we need to send in the datasheet down here. After we have done that, we get the bot response, and we want to populate the bot cell dot value equals to bot response. As simple as that. And then we clear the prompt cell. I save this one. I say hello. I run this one. And right now you can see there is an error, because the error is that my API key was fake, the one that I just created. What you should do is that you should put in your real API key, and I will pause the video and I will do that. This is really cool. I have put in my Gemini API key, my real one. Now, if I ask a question, how many Pokemons are there? I click on this button. And here it says 800. Cool. Which are the electrical Pokemons that are legendary? There are no electrical legendary Pokemon in the dataset. Okay, it's not very good model, but it looks into the dataset, and let's see if there are. Maybe there should be legendary. I will ask if is Zap legendary? Yes, it's legendary, and it's electrical. It's an LLM, it's hallucinating sometimes, it's not answering as good as you want it to be, but it's still answering based on this dataset. We can ask it like, which are the 5 strongest Pokemons, and list their stats. Ask this one. Yes, here. The concept of strongest Pokemons can be subjective, as different stats contribute, blah, blah, blah. Okay, but here we have 2 mega and blah, blah, blah. Okay, let's see. Going to data, we'll make it like this. Total here is actually indication of the strength, because it's the combination of all the other stats. We can call this strength and save this one. And going into chat, and then I will ask this question again. Okay, let me ask. Actually, we can close down xlwings lite over there. Paste this one, and then I'll ask it again. You can see it's different now. Based on the total stat, actually you need to restart it in order to, because I changed the data. And also this weirdly, it's removed my declines. Okay. Which are the 5 strongest Pokemons? Here you can see Mewtwo Mega, Mewtwo X, and if we continue here, there's some more here. Quite cool. It's possible to chat with your data with this quite simple application, I think. I guess it was simple, but I hope that you can chat with whatever data you want, but make sure that since you are sending the data into an LLM that is on the web, in this case Gemini, don't use personal data. And no company secrets, etc. If you want to chat with your personal data, you should have a local LLM, which I can make a tutorial of that maybe in the future if there's a lot of interest, but I'll leave that for the future. Wow, that was super cool. We managed to chat with our own data in Excel using xlwings lite and we're using Python to connect to the data frame, the data that we had in Excel, and to connect to Gemini, which we have the URL on the web, and the API key, which we got then for free. Just put it in and then work with it. But make sure that don't share your workbook however you want, since you have your secrets inside. You don't want to share your API key. If you want to share it, make sure to remove the API key first, or use the add-in scope. There's different scopes. There's add-in scope, and there's the other one is the workbook scope. It's tied to the workbook. The one that I shared to you doesn't have the API key, but you can take a look into my Excel worksheet. You can see how I built it, and you can see the code inside there as well, the xlwings lite, the Python code. It's fun to combine Excel with Python and to combine with LLMs that we're getting used to in daily life. It's quite fun to just be able to ask your data different stuffs that you don't need to manually process it with pandas or something. You can share it with people that are not very familiar with Python. Quite fun. Yes, and I hope that you learned a lot from this video, and see you in the next one. Bye.